Hi there friends, how's it going? I hope you're all having a great day. If you're new here, my name is Andrea and welcome to my channel, Eldon Acres. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. So today is December 6th and it's pretty snowy out there. We've had our first few snowfalls and usually by now we do have a little bit of snow. It kind of comes and goes. Sometimes we get a white Christmas, sometimes we don't. Right now it's looking like we're going to have a white Christmas, which is pretty exciting. It's really nice for the kiddos. However, after today, things start to warm up. So today was about a high of -5, excuse me, Celsius. We're in Ontario, Canada, so we work in Celsius typically. So today was a high of -5 Celsius, but after today, it's going to warm up. Sunday is going to be a high of +5 Celsius, which I'm kind of excited for because Sunday, my side of the family, we are going Christmas tree hunting. So my grandparents own a ranch that we put cattle on in the summer, and then in the winter it's vacant. But at one point, it almost seems like someone tried to plant like a Christmas tree farm, and there's quite a few beautiful Christmas trees on the property. So every year as a family, my parents, my siblings, my nieces, we all kind of make a day of it. We go Christmas tree hunting. And then actually this year, after we find the Christmas tree, we're going back to my parents to celebrate, Christmas with my side of the family. Typically we do it Christmas morning and we have brunch and the whole thing. However, my sister is a nurse and she has to work Christmas this year. So last minute, we just decided, you know what, after we get the Christmas tree, why don't we just do Christmas? And then Christmas morning, we can do whatever we want, so to speak. I will probably invite my parents over and we'll have brunch. And then typically we go over to my in-laws for a meal as well, Christmas Day. Haven't quite figured all of that out. But anyways, circling back to what we're doing today is we're gonna make a couple appetizers. So I wanna test a couple recipes that I would like to take on Sunday to my family Christmas, because we decided after Christmas tree hunting, we're gonna go back to my parents' house, have some appetizers, do our gifts and all that kind of stuff. And then we're actually going to do supper there as well. I'm going to make lasagna. But I'm not going to prep my lasagna until closer to, so we might do that together. I haven't quite decided. It depends how much time I have. We'll see what happens over the weekend. So anyways, we're gonna get started. So the first recipe, I need to cook some bacon. So I've just got some store-bought bacon here. I'm gonna go ahead and get it on my sheet pan. And this is how I like to cook bacon. So we're gonna lay it out on our sheet pan here. And then we're going to cook it in the oven. So you start with your oven, a cold oven. So we don't preheat the oven at all. My scissors are not working here. We're gonna lay it out on our sheet pan in a single layer. And then when we are ready to cook it, we're going to put it into our oven, turn the oven on to 400, and typically it takes about 25 minutes. It saves the mess of your kitchen. I mean, sometimes there's a little bit of splatter in the oven, but it's a heck of a lot better than having to clean your entire stovetop. And it just, you don't have to babysit it. You get perfect crispy bacon every time. We started doing this quite a few years ago, and I will never go back to the frying pan method. So the recipe that we are starting with, it only requires, I think, 4 pieces of bacon, but I'm just gonna go ahead and cook the entire package because I don't know about your house, but at my house, bacon never goes to waste. So it will get eaten. I'm sure my husband will come home and be able to smell it, and it won't last very long at all. So the first recipe that we are going to be using the bacon in is called, I've got my recipes beside us here, a bacon turkey cranberry roll-up. So I've never personally made this recipe before. However, I was at a bridal shower for a good friend over the summer, and her mom had made this recipe as one of the appetizers at the shower, and it was delicious. I loved it. So I asked her for the recipe, and she sent it to me, and so that's what we are using the bacon for. Another recipe that we are making I haven't quite come up with a name for it yet because I've just kind of made it up in my mind. But basically it's kind of like a pickle popper, maybe is what I'll call it. It's kind of like a fun twist on a jalapeno popper using pickles. So what I'm going to do is I purchased some baby dill pickles. I was going to use my homegrown pickles, which I'll probably do for the actual celebration, but today I'm just doing some recipe testing. So I didn't want to waste, I mean, they'll be eaten, but I only have so many home canned pickles and I didn't really want to waste them in case for whatever reason we don't like the recipe. I can't imagine that's going to happen because I mean, I love dill pickles. So what it is it's a dill pickle. I'm going to cut them in half, make a cream cheese mixture. So I think what I'm going to do with the cream cheese is I'm going to do a mixture kind of like you would like, well, the base of kind of any dip. I'm going to do cream cheese and shredded old cheddar, a bit of salt and pepper, some green onions. Haven't decided, but I might add some sort of heat to it. And then we're going to whip that up. So we'll make our mixture. We'll cut our pickles in half, clean out the little bit of inside of the pickle. I'll probably add that into the cream cheese mixture so it doesn't go to waste. And then we're going to fill our pickle, wrap it in prosciutto, and then we're going to bake it just to get that prosciutto nice and crispy. I'll probably bake it hot and fast on broil probably just so that it gets crispy. And then we're going to top it with some red pepper jelly. So I'm so excited for this one. Again, I can't imagine that it's not going to be delicious because who doesn't love all those components? But I just didn't want to take the risk just in case. Plus, you know, it's just for us. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get the baking going in the oven, and then we will get going on the dill pickle appetizer. Okay, so I have my bacon cooking in the oven there. So it's going to be 20 to 25 minutes. So again, anytime you cook bacon like this on a sheet pan, you don't preheat your oven. You put the bacon into a cold oven, turn the oven on to 400 or 425. I'm going to do it at 400 and I've set a timer for 20 minutes. So I'll have a look at it at 20 minutes. Typically it takes the 25 minutes, but I don't want to overcook it. My recipes require it to be crispy, but some of those bacon pieces, slices were pretty thin, and then some of them were a little bit more thick. So I'll check it. If I need to take some of them out to avoid them burning, I will do that, and then the rest of them can continue cooking. So anyways, we've got that going. I've got my bowl for my stand mixer here, and I have put 1 brick of cream cheese in there with about a cup of shredded old cheddar. Now the nice thing about these 2 recipes that I'm using is they both require cream cheese and old cheddar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and green onions. And I think that's, I'm just double checking here. Yeah, and then salt and pepper and whatever other spices I might put in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make one mixture, mix that all up, and then divide it up, and then I can kind of customize it from there for each different recipe. But it's kind of nice that I can kind of prep the base of the ingredients first. So I'm going to go ahead. I've already washed my green onions here. Always wash your green onions. They're usually pretty dirty. And I'm going to go ahead and just get them thinly sliced. Oh my goodness, friends, my eyes are watering. I think my eyes are getting more sensitive as I get older to the onions, because normally my eyes don't get upset over green onions, but holy jumpins, they are today. So I'm just going to kind of go through here one more time and just make sure that my onion pieces are nice and small. I don't want anything too big. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to pull myself together here. All right, friends, I think we've recovered. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I went ahead, I put my green onions, my sliced green onions into the bowl of my stand mixer, and I actually added another brick of cream cheese. I just got thinking while I was cutting up those onions that I might as well go ahead and make the entire base of, what am I even calling it? The filling. The entire base of the filling for my two appetizers, because today's Friday, our Christmas holiday event is going to be on Sunday. So this will keep in the fridge perfectly, and actually it might even get better because all those flavors will have time to kind of meld together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna whip up one big batch. We will test out the recipes that we do today, and then the base filling will be ready to go when I'm going to assemble the appetizers for Sunday. So that's what I decided we're gonna do. But what that means is I'm not gonna add anything overly spicy into this because there's going to be children on Sunday, and I don't want it to be too spicy for them. So what I've decided, I'm just gonna add a little bit of pepper and, I don't know, maybe half a teaspoon. I will link the recipes that I'm using for inspiration below, but as you all know, I am not one to follow recipes, so if I deviate too much, I will write out the recipe in the description below so that you can also make them the same way that I do. So I'm gonna get this on the stand mixer, get this mixed up, and then we're gonna go on to the pickle aspect of the appetizer. All right, friends, we've got our filling mixture all mixed up here. So I'm just gonna set that aside. So when our bacon's done, we'll get some bacon added in there. And then we're gonna go ahead and prep our pickles. So I just got a jar of baby dill pickles with garlic. Now you could do, goodness me, I'm tight. You could do normal size pickles, but because I knew that I wanted to take this appetizer on Sunday, and again, there's gonna be children there, I thought kind of the baby dills would be fun. My nieces, it's all girls on my side of the family, and they're all, the oldest one is 5. So something like this, small, easy for them, I think would be the best idea. However, I have another Christmas party coming up at my office. I think I've mentioned before that I work away from home. I'm a licensed optician, and we're doing like a little Christmas open house at the office on the day before we start our holidays. And I think I'm gonna take these appetizers to that as well if they work out and they're good. So for that, I think I might do the, well, I don't know, this is just kind of like a nice size. We'll see how it turns out. So I'm just going ahead and I'm just, I'm actually kind of picking through my jar of pickles. Oh, sorry, you can't even see them, goodness. And just grabbing the ones that are a little bit bigger, maybe. So I just want to make sure like that they're, I guess, wide enough that they're going to be able to hold some filling. Okay, so I think that's probably good. Again, it's just going to be Brandon and I enjoying these tonight. And I'm just going to take my spoon and just kind of scoop out, you know, like the seed area, just like you would with a jalapeno. And this is where it might be a little bit better to have larger pickles, because I suppose there'd be a larger well, so to speak, for your cheese to go into. But that's all right. We'll load it up and get it wrapped up with the prosciutto, and it'll be just as good. Yeah, so that's what we're looking like. Oh, we're dripping all over my floor. So we're just making a little well in the middle. So I'm just gonna carry on with this. I can hear my bacon sizzling away there in the oven. I've got my timer set, and I've got about 5 minutes left on my 20-minute timer, I believe, until we're gonna take that out of the oven. So I'm just gonna putter away at this, and then we'll bring you back when we are going to continue on. so the timer just went off for our bacon. I did pull out a couple pieces a little bit early. Again, I mentioned the thinner pieces. So it's kind of hard to see. There's that there, but I'll get it off the pan and I'll show you because it's a little bit of a mess. And I don't know if you can see all of the grease from that bacon on the pan. That will not go to waste. We are going to keep that. I love cooking with bacon fat, and it's a great way to kind of stretch your budget. Often people just kind of throw out bacon fat, but what you can do, and what I like to do, is I will, anytime I make bacon, I save it, I put it in a jar, put it in the fridge, and it'll keep in the fridge for quite some time. It doesn't usually last long around here. Anytime you're going to fry something up in a frying pan that you would typically use oil or butter for, having a heck of a time here, you can replace it with bacon grease. So when you put it in the fridge in a jar, it solidifies, and I'm all out of it, so I can't even show you some, but it'll solidify it and go like a little bit white. And that's fine. You just stick a spoon or a knife or something in your jar, pull out what you need, put it in your frying pan, and it'll melt right back down into golden, beautiful oil that you can cook with. So I'm just gonna let the pan cool a little bit before I transfer the fat into a jar. I just have a little, it used to be like an olive jar, I think. It's not very big. And again, keep it in your fridge. My grandmother-in-law has a recipe for oatmeal cookies that calls for bacon fat. I've never made it, but it is on my to make list, so maybe that'll have to be something that we make together maybe in the new year. So here's my bacon. I'm just gonna set it aside to cool down just a little bit while I finish dealing with the pickles. I'm gonna set my pan just behind me again to cool, and then we're gonna keep on rolling. Okay, so our pan has cooled down enough. I've got my little jar here and I've got my reusable lid. This is Ball brand, and they're, I'll put you up close, leak-proof lids. I love these. They come in so handy for things like, I like to make pickled eggs for family members that enjoy pickled eggs. And the pickled eggs that I make are refrigerator pickled eggs, so I don't like to waste a seal, so I can reuse these. I also keep berries in the fridge in large mason jars. These work great. Any jar that you want to put in the fridge, my sourdough starter, throw one of these on it. I haven't used my sourdough starter in a little while, and this is, it's a good seal, and it's leak proof. I'll even take, you know, like I pre-make salads in mason jars sometimes, use one of these lids. Salad dressing, these are great because you can shake your salad dressing up in a jar and it works so well. Can't recommend them enough. I just get these at Home Hardware. We have a local Home Hardware that carries them. Pretty sure you can also get them on Amazon. Highly suggest. This is not sponsored or anything like that, but they are amazing. So we're gonna go ahead and get our bacon grease into our jar here. So it's nothing too crazy. I just literally tip the pan, and it's okay if some of the like brown bits get in there. I don't worry too much about that because, again, my bacon fat doesn't last long in the fridge. I end up using it up pretty quickly, so I don't worry. But if you have a large batch, you know, sometimes I'll bulk cook bacon if I'm doing breakfast sandwiches for the freezer or something like that, and I'll end up with, you know, a much larger jar full of it. In that case, I would run it through a sieve, or you could use cheesecloth. A coffee filter would also probably work if you didn't want those little bits in there, but I'm not worried about that today. So I'm just gonna hold it here and just let it kind of drain off, get as much of that off as possible. And this helps for cleanup because you don't have to figure out how to dispose of the bacon grease. That was always a thing with me. We have dogs, so I'm certainly not going to put it in our compost. Once in a while, I'll use it to make suet for like a little treat for the chickens or the wild birds. You can use it for a lot of things, just don't throw it out. It seems weird maybe at first, but try it. If you are doing, what did I do the other day? Oh, we had stir fry. So my stir fry veggies, and then we had leftover pork tenderloin. So I just put some bacon grease in my frying pan, fried up my veggies in the bacon grease, added my meat to reheat that, and it adds like a beautiful flavor to it as well. And it's not overpowering like you would think, like, oh, you're gonna get all that bacon flavor. It's just a hint because again, you're just using the grease or the fat. All right, so that looks about all I'm gonna get. Make sure I didn't spill any on the side. So I'm gonna put this in the sink. I'll deal with it in a little while. Actually, I'll probably put some water on it so it's a little bit easier to clean up when I get to that point later. All right, so that's soaking. Now I'm just going to set this aside. I'm just gonna set the lid kind of on an angle on top because it is still warm. Actually, you know what? It's pretty cool. I'm just gonna put the lid on and pop it in the fridge. And then maybe by the time I'm done this video, I'll be able to show you what it looks like when it's starting to solidify. That is what it looks like now. Liquid gold. Can you see it there? Beautiful. So I'm gonna put it in the fridge. You could put it in the freezer too, but I'm always scared I'll forget about it in the freezer. Not that that would be a big deal, actually. You could, again, if you had a big cooking day and you made a ton, you have a ton of it to save, you could freeze it. You could freeze it in jars. Just make sure you leave a good amount of head space because it will expand just like everything when you put it in the freezer. But then you could save it for your future self. So I'm gonna get this in the fridge. Okay, so I've got 8 pieces of crispy bacon here that I'm gonna go ahead and get crumbled. And it's crispy, so it's gonna crumble up perfectly. All right, so it's looking perfect. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and add all of that bacon that I just crumbled into the pot. I wasn't going to because the pickle recipe doesn't actually technically call for bacon. Well, I say that, it's a recipe I'm just making up in my head. But like, is there such a thing as too much of a good thing? We're wrapping the pickles in prosciutto, so what's a little bit more pork in there? I think it'll be delicious. And I don't suppose my husband, Brennan, I don't think he'll complain. He likes bacon, pork, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna give that another mix, and then what I'm gonna do is divide it. First I'm gonna wash my hands, and then we'll be right back. All right, so I went ahead and I just whipped that all together. So now we've got our cream cheese, our pepper, green onions, and our bacon crumbles in here. So at this point, slide that over. I'm going to take half of our mixture, put it in a container because the next thing that I'm adding are dried cranberries, which is in the wraps, but I don't think dried cranberries would be very good with the pickle poppers. I think that's gonna stick. I like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take about half of this and put it aside for the pickle poppers. That's about half. There we go. So I'm not gonna put this far because this is gonna start to come together pretty quickly. Now what we're gonna do, I purchased some dried cranberries, craisins, I guess they're called. All right, so what I'm gonna do, the recipe, well, to be honest, I didn't really read the recipe overly closely, but I don't think the recipe said to do this, but I'm gonna do this because, if I can get into it, again, we've got little ones that are going to be enjoying these, and I just wanna cut them up into slightly smaller pieces just so it's not like a big chunk of cranberry. I think most of the littles will be fine with it because they all like raisins. And these are pretty much raisins, but I'm just gonna give them kind of like a rough chop just so that there's no like big clumps of dried cranberries. All right, so I just kind of gave like a rough chop there. And now we're gonna get them into our bowl. And I didn't clean my cutting board because I just cut the bacon on there, so I didn't think that I needed to clean it. Any leftover bacon flavor or bacon bits, I should say, that's on the cutting board is just gonna go in there just fine. All right, so we've got our cranberries in there. I'm gonna give this one more whiz up and then we are going to assemble. Okay, so I've got our final mixture here. I just had a little taste and it's delicious, which I'm not surprised about. So I've got some tortillas here. So these are just original white flour tortillas. They're the large ones. Now, I would have liked to have used whole wheat because I really enjoy the taste of a whole wheat tortilla. However, I was at Costco last week and this is what they had. They had them on sale too. So I bought them for, I forget what I originally bought them for, but they're an 18 pack, so there's quite a few of them. So then I saw this recipe and I thought, well, they're not gonna go to waste. We're gonna get them used up. But I think if I do this again, I'll use whole wheat because I like the flavor. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some of our mixture here. I'm just gonna put a dollop of it on each tortilla. I think I might want a little bit more. When I was growing up, I've had many versions of this kind of appetizer, but growing up they were called pinwheels, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and they used to be quite popular. So I kind of like that they're coming back. I haven't seen anything like that, like this, in a while. I just had a brilliant thought. Sunflower seeds added in here would be wonderful. Would add a nice crunch. Ooh, I might have to get some sunflower seeds and try that. All right, so now we're just going to go ahead and try our best to get this spread out over the tortilla in a somewhat even fashion, which this might have been an easier job had my cream cheese been slightly softer when we started. But I, as I said before I came home from town today, we live, like I said, half an hour from where I work, and that's the best kind of grocery area. So I always get my groceries, but they didn't have the cream cheese, of course, I picked up today and it didn't have time to soften as much as I would have liked, but that's all right. Just take a little bit more muscle power. My kitchen smells delicious, which is always a bonus. So I want to kind of try to get this spread out right to the edges. All right, so we've got our 3 tortillas here. So now the next step is to add some sliced turkey. So I just picked up some deli turkey from the grocery store. This is oven roasted turkey, and I got thin sliced. Although it kind of looks like they shaved it more than sliced it, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of put a few pieces on there. You just kind of want a good layer over your filling mixture. You could use ham or chicken for this as well. I'm sure you could substitute many other deli meats if you weren't a fan of turkey. I'm kind of making a mess of this. I can't see why you couldn't. As you all know, I'm the queen of not following recipes. And to me, I think like anything would basically work in this application. Okay, so that's looking good. So now we're going to roll them up. So I don't think we need to do like anything special. We're just gonna roll them up nice and tight. I think you want to keep them as kind of as tight as possible. And just as I'm rolling, I'm just kind of pulling it towards me just to kind of make sure everything is evenly distributed. All right, that's looking pretty good. So I'm just gonna set this one aside, roll the rest up. Perfect. So we've got the 3 there. And now what we do is we're just gonna cut them into pinwheels. Now, I think probably the best way to do this would be with a serrated knife. So I'm just gonna grab a serrated knife to do that, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I got my serrated knife here. So we're just gonna cut them into kind of like bite-sized pieces. Now, the ends, like the filling doesn't come all the way to the end because I didn't want it to kind of like start spilling out. So the end pieces, I probably wouldn't put on like my appetizer plate, but because it's just Brandon and I, we're not picky. We're gonna eat them because I do not like wasting food. But if at the end, if at the end of the video you see just a bunch of ones that look picture perfect, not that I'm good at picture perfect, but don't worry, the ends did not go to waste. The serrated knife was definitely the way to go. It's working really well. Now, I'm not usually a fan of raw tortillas. I know these aren't technically raw, but when I eat tortillas, I like them like warm. I don't know, maybe it's the texture. I'm just not a huge fan of just like a cold wrap. I like to heat it up in the air fryer. That's probably the best way to do it, is in an air fryer or like a quesadilla on the frying pan. However, these are delicious. I think we should probably try one together. I'm just gonna put the end pieces over here. Brandon will probably eat those as a pre-supper snack when he gets home. All right, let me get like the perfect one. This one looks pretty good. Oh yeah, and you know what's kind of fun? They're kind of festive colors. You've got your red and your green in there. I mean, there's also white and some orange as well. But if you wanted it to be like, oh yeah, look. I was also thinking you could add fresh dill. That would add a little bit more green. That would be delicious. Well, let's give it a try. Oh, that's good. You get the crunch from the bacon, you get the onion, the cheese, you get the sweetness from the cranberries, the turkey. Oh, that's really good. Those are great. I was also thinking you could do them warm. You could throw them in the air fryer. Sorry, I just had to eat that. You could put them in the air fryer and get them a little bit crispy. What I would probably do is before you cut them up, put them in the air fryer on 400 for about 5 to 7 minutes, and then take them out, let them cool down a little bit, probably for about 10 minutes so that the cheese can kind of re-firm up, and then you could cut them up. Might have to try that too. But these are so good. You should make them. They're delicious. All right, so I'm gonna pop these onto a plate with some saran wrap, put them in the fridge because there is cheese in them, so we do want to refrigerate them, and we're not gonna eat until quite a bit later. So I'm gonna do that, and then we're gonna get going on the pickles, which I'm super excited about. So what we're gonna do here now is just fill up our pickle poppers. So I just have a little spoon here. Got my pickle with my open well, and I'm just gonna kind of, sorry, I'll bring you in close and do a better job of this, but I just kind of smear it over there and then kind of use my thumb just to kind of push it in. Get as much of that cheesy goodness in there as possible. And then, I'll wash my hands. And then I've got some prosciutto here. So this was left over. I can't remember what it was left over from, but anyways, it's left over. We used some prosciutto last weekend, but we didn't use the entire package. So I just threw it in a sandwich bag knowing that I was going to use it. At that time, I didn't know what I was going to use it for, but here we are. So we're just going to take our prosciutto, lay it out there, put our pickle popper down, and wrap it up just like you would with a jalapeno popper. So we're just going to give it a wrap, roll it up. I'm going to go ahead and do these two, and then as I said, I'll bring you in a little closer so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. So I will heat these up when we go to eat them later on. I think we're just going to do kind of like snack plates for supper, which I love. That's one of my favorite kinds of supper. But I figured together we'll go ahead and try them because we won't be eating supper until quite a bit later. And my house will be a little bit more chaotic then, so I probably won't do a tasting video. So let's do one now. So this is homemade red pepper jelly. So I'm just going to take some red pepper jelly, put it on top, and let's give it a try. Oh boy. That's really good, but I do think it'll be much better if the prosciutto is a little bit crispy. So definitely gonna warm it up, crisp it up in the air fryer. I will definitely show you what that looks like, but this is pretty darn good. Pretty impressed with that. That's delicious. Gotta get my hands washed. I'll be right back. All right, friends. Well, I would say that this was a very successful appetizer creating day. So I'm gonna end the video here. There will be some more footage just to show you kind of how we enjoy this tonight, how I crisp them up, and just how everything comes together. But it will be chaotic in my house later on today. So I'm gonna end the video of me talking to you now, just so that you don't have to endure the chaos that my house will be. I'll record everything, and then if anything needs explaining, I will do voiceovers. But that's it, guys. I wanted to thank you so much for joining me today. This was kind of a little bit all over the place video, but it was super fun. I really love the creation of this recipe. Again, I can't wait to try it with that prosciutto nice and crisped up. I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll just like take it up to the next level. I'm super excited for that. The bacon turkey cranberry roll-ups, chef's kiss, so good. I'm excited for Brandon to try them and just see what he thinks of them. He's not, as I said, a fan of cranberry, but I think it was delicious. Like a really nice balance of sweet and salty and creamy and just really yummy. I'll link this recipe below because I use this recipe for inspiration, and it's a Better Homes and Gardens recipe. And then this one, I'll take a minute and I'll write it out, and I'll write it down below for you. So yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. It really does mean so much to me that you take some time out of your day to be with me. I hope you're all having a great day, and I really hope to see you in the next one. As I said, we are going to be celebrating our Christmas with my family this weekend. We're going to be making a lasagna. I've decided we're going to do it together, but that'll be in probably the next video after this one. So yeah, that's it today. Thank you again, guys. I hope you're having a great day, and I hope you take care and stay safe. Bye, friends. Friends, I just have to say these turned out so good. We really enjoyed these and I will totally be making these again, but they definitely are so much better when you do them in the air fryer. They get crispy and that cheese gets nice and melty. It's amazing because the pickle still stays nice and crunchy and just how you want a dill pickle to be. Now I air fried these for at 390 degrees for about 7 minutes, I'm going to say 7 to 10 minutes, and they turned out perfectly. I did not turn them or flip them or anything like that. I just let them cook and they were perfect. Now I decided to go ahead and make a charcuterie board, which I love to do. This is one of my favorite ways to use up things out of your fridge and your pantry, and honestly, anything goes with charcuterie boards. So I had a package of meats in the fridge that I wanted to get used up, so I popped that on here. I had some old cheddar that I just cut up, some blueberries, a clementine. Of course, we have our turkey bacon roll-ups that we popped on there as well. I added a few of these spicy dill pickle almonds, which are absolutely delicious. And then the star of the show, the crispy pickle poppers. I also like to add something a little bit sweet to our charcuterie boards, so we had a few little Kinder chocolates, so I popped those on there too. I hope you guys got some inspiration from this video, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Take care, friends.